I've known about 7 Days to Die for well over a year now, and I've avoided it because I heard it was glitchy and almost unplayable. But I finally decided to give it a shot, and 2 weeks later and I'm still playing it. So in a nutshell, it's Minecraft meets DayZ with a little bit of Fallout in there. You know, it's a zombie survival crafting game with role-playing elements. But before you start crafting away like a madman, you want to come to grips with the survival element of the game. Well, for one thing, you need food and water to survive. And there's medical concerns, like you have to worry about sprained legs. If you get hit, sometimes you'll start bleeding out. You can also get infected by either zombies, or if you eat raw meat, or drink unpurified water. So basically, you want to have food and water on you at all times, as well as medical supplies like first aid kits, bandages, splints, and antibiotics that will cure the various infections you can get in the game. And if you're lucky, you can find this stuff in the environment, or on corpses. But if that fails, you may need to hunt or forage for food. And there's a few different animals you can kill in the game, such as deer, pigs, and even bears. Though I've heard bear meat is kind of bad in real life. The same goes for water. If you have the right containers, you can collect from the streams or lakes. But you'll have to purify the water, of course, which is a realistic touch, otherwise you can get dysentery and eventually die. And the same goes for the medical supplies. You can sometimes find them in the environment or on corpses, but you may need to craft them from various components. Extreme weather is also a threat. If you're in the cold, snowy areas, you can eventually freeze to death. Or if you're in the desert, you can overheat and die from heat stroke. So you want to be clothed appropriately. If you're in the desert, you want to take clothes off, probably. You can also wear like a cowboy hat, and that'll keep you cool. Or you can jump in the water, and that'll cool you down as well. And of course, if you're in the cold area, you want to wear heavier clothing, like coats and hats. And also, if you sit by a fire, that'll actually warm you up. And there's certain drinks too, like hot coffee, that'll warm you up. So that's pretty cool, I think. Once your survival needs are met, you can then start to explore the crafting system. There's a lot to explore. And of course, there's your basic tools and weapons like axes, clubs, knives, sledgehammers, pickaxes, things like that. There are also firearms, ranging from the pistol to the shotgun, to an assault rifle, to a sniper rifle, and so on. You can even craft your own mini bike. You can also craft things like food, clothing, armor, and ammunition. And most of the stuff you can make from the start of the game. There's certain more useful items you need to find schematics for. You can find those in buildings, on corpses, or at the local trader. And also some items require the use of like a workbench, or a forge, or a few other different stations like that, like a chemistry station, or a campfire to create food items. Then finally, you can build structures of various types, using wood, metal, or even concrete. Then you can further reinforce those walls with the same resources. If you want to, you can put traps, ranging from spikes to landmines, to help defend your fortress. You can also deck out the inside with things like furniture, or lights, or even TVs. Not that the TVs do anything, but it's more of a decoration, I guess. As for the game's RPG-like skill system, there are close to 60 skills total, which is pretty impressive. They range from things like weapon skills, to armor skills, to medicine, to bartering, to scavenging. And of course, there's a few different crafting skills, like one that allows you to craft quicker, or one that allows you to repair things using less resources. You can increase your level by killing zombies, completing side quests, or even just by using your skills and leveling them up. Sort of a cross between Fallout and something like Skyrim. And every time you gain a level, you get a few more skill points. You can further increase your skills. So I really like this game for its depth and immersion factor. But there are some flaws. Well, for one thing, it uses the Unity engine, so the graphics aren't that great, and the animations are pretty subpar. There is a lot of pop-in. Probably the biggest fault is the game tends to crash a lot. Like in single player, maybe once every 4 to 5 hours. But the multiplayer, it's a little more frequent, like maybe half an hour to an hour. Depending, if you're lucky and have a good connection, maybe. As for the multiplayer, I've played actually for a few days now with a couple people. It's pretty enjoyable. It makes things a lot easier. Of course, you can gather resources, 2 to 3 times as fast. Another problem I had was that beyond the short tutorial, the game doesn't really tell you much. I know my very first game, I was dying of heat stroke or an infection or something. I had no idea what to do or how to cure it, so I had to resort to watching a couple YouTube videos, which you really shouldn't have to do. So there is a steep learning curve here, and it can be tough to figure out even basic actions in the beginning. So at first I thought this was just a zombie outbreak game. Then I found out it actually takes place after a nuclear war and a zombie outbreak. And if you go to certain areas of the map, you can kind of tell there's, embers everywhere, and ash, and burnt out houses. And there's also radiation, which is another threat I forgot to mention earlier. But it's not a strong theme throughout, only in certain areas. So on the Apocalypse rating scale, I give it a 6 out of 10. So if I were to judge this game on graphics and technical prowess alone, it would score pretty low. But I'm willing to look past the bad graphics, the animation, and the pop-in. But I am taking a point off for the crashes though. But yeah, as far as depth, immersion, and just my addiction to it, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I've been hooked on it for 2 weeks straight now, where most AAA games I can't even play for 2 nights, such as like Call of Duty World War II or Wolfenstein 2. In a way, this is like the game I've always wanted to make myself, So yeah.